Story 1. This happened to me recently. Both key fobs for my car had low batteries and needed replacements. I took them to the AskReddit dealer, and they quoted me $240 each. I looked up what kind of battery they required and ordered them on Amazon for about $11 for 20. Then I watched a 2-minute YouTube video and did it myself. I really just thought they only charge that much because they know people will pay it. Story 2. Affordable designer clothing. High-end designers have discovered that low-income individuals love brands even more than the wealthy, so they have created affordable designer lines. Many people have embraced this. They're paying to have a designer logo on their clothes, but not for better quality or even better designed clothing. Most of these are poor quality and look bad, but people are so obsessed with logos that they'll pay for them. Don't get me wrong, the very high-end items may be overpriced, but the clothes are high quality and obviously better designed. However, the mass-produced items are just taking money from low-income individuals' pockets. Story 3. Warning. Oddly specific, but I keep terrariums, and I can't believe pet stores and more now sell leaf litter for like $1 a dead leaf. What a scam. The scam is, if you take leaves from outside, they might have pathogens and parasites. We have sterilized them with special means to make it safe. Except more often than not, they are in fact not sterilized at all, and it's super easy to do it yourself with the free dead leaves you find outside. What a scam. The same goes for rocks and branches. A bit of research and elbow grease, and you don't need to spend all your money on natural decor. Stick Repti- in front of anything, and some people will buy it because, oh, it's made for my reptile. Repti stick, Repti soil, Repti rock, and so on. Story 4. Restaurant delivery service. Absolutely insane. I just ordered Uber Eats for the first time in over a year, and I was floored by the cost. I can't believe people use that regularly. Story 5. Insurance on electronics. Buying it for a big appliance like a refrigerator may be worth it, but for televisions and similar items, it is usually a total ripoff. The manufacturer warranty will typically cover it, and buying extra insurance from Best Buy is just more money wasted. Story 6. Dude wipes, man soaps, alpha mouthwashes, and other products that charge a premium for keeping insecure men from feeling emasculated by basic hygiene. Story 7. EA Sports Football Club 2024/2025 games, previously called FIFA. A large group of people swear they will never buy the next version because of how bad the current one is, yet they still end up buying it. Story 8. Unpopular opinion, but soft drinks at restaurants, cafes, and eateries are just sugar water. For soda, add carbonation. 800% profit margin right there. An old-timer regaled us with a story of how in the 1970s, he used to help manage a burger joint. If everybody came in and only bought sodas, they'd be fine. Imagine that a burgers and fries joint doesn't even need to sell burgers or fries to stay afloat. The controversy there, which is something I think about, is that these levels of profit do help restaurants in an industry where margins are razor thin. Story 9. Tipping for to-go orders. You're placing the order and picking it up yourself. Whoever is handing you the bag should be paid appropriately by their employer. And if they're not, it's not your fault. Story 10. Any kind of spiritual or psychic service. I have a neighbor who has paid a psychic lady at least 3 times at $250 to $300 a visit to cleanse his house of negative energy. Story 11. What many of you all consider a waste of money is actually helpful for us disabled folks, like pre-cut produce or food delivery services. But to answer alcohol, no good comes from it. Story 12. Class upgrades. People who start making $1 more per hour and justify buying flagship phones, name brand clothing, new cars, etc. If you come into some money and are feeling it, sure, buy something nice, but the people who think that a new job or a bonus means a new wardrobe or more monthly costs are usually the same people who are always complaining of being broke. I have a buddy who constantly complains of not being able to afford some things. When he got promoted to store manager, he picked up Netflix and Disney Plus, started playing and paying a monthly subscription for Final Fantasy XIV, traded in his car that he was a year off paying off for a slightly newer model, bought a new iPhone and the AirPods, and started eating out 3 to 4 times a week, but bemoaned that he couldn't go on a group vacation because money was really tight and could someone cover for him. Story 13. Bottle service in a Las Vegas, Miami, Mykonos, or French Riviera club. Having $50,000 to $100,000 alcohol tabs for bottles that would cost you $1,000 at retail is absolute insanity. Red Bull cans to complement your vodka at $110 to $150 is even worse. Story 14. Natural diamonds. You're never going to get even half of what you paid. You could spend $10,000 on a natural diamond and be lucky to get $3,000 back, or pay $1,000 for a lab-grown diamond and get nothing back. They are chemically and optically identical, only their growth origin is different. Somehow there are plenty of natural diamond lovers. Story 15. Buying a new phone every year usually features minimal improvements and never made sense to me, especially with them being so expensive. I have an iPhone 12 Max. I considered getting the 14, 15, or 16, but every time I watch the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference, I see how disappointing the features are. Story 16. Expensive cars. It blows my mind how many people keep themselves broke by buying new cars every couple of years. It's absolutely nuts to me, and I'll never understand it. Story 17. Regularly using DoorDash. That's it. Want to pay $40 for lukewarm IHOP pancakes? This is your best bet. I expect to be downvoted into the underworld. I know there are times when it's just necessary, but it is a very expensive service to use just because. Story 18. Super unleaded gas. Unless it specifically says in the manual that your car requires it, then spending more for 91 or 93 does nothing except empty your wallet faster. Story 19. Most of the more expensive designer clothing and accessories, after a certain point, offer no possible improvement in quality. People are just paying for the brand name and the supposed status that comes with being able to afford them. It seems especially foolish when the item itself is very bland, like plain white t-shirts that just say Balenciaga across the chest in block black text. What kind of person spends 500 euros on such a basic item just to be a walking advertisement for a brand? Story 20. Being a professional Yu-Gi-Oh player. Imagine paying close to $1,000 to build the best deck, to compete in a tournament where the top prize is a 7-year-old video game console. Story 21. Whole life insurance. You can pay a fraction of the cost for term life insurance, which is the only part of whole life that is an actual insurance product. The rest is just a subpar investment vehicle when simpler and better options are available. Most people are not wealthy enough to need to worry about inheritance tax shelters, which is admittedly the only useful reason for a whole life policy. This also makes them ethically suspect, given that excessive generational wealth transfer is one of the biggest drivers of sustained systemic inequality. Story 22. Financial advisors like Edward Jones. They load you up on fees like crazy, upfront, and percentage gains, and they underperform compared to people who just invest in index funds. Look up some charts on what a 1% fee does to your net worth over a lifetime. It's absolutely significant. If you have assets worth planning, find a single-fee fiduciary. Story 23. Jewelry, especially gold and diamonds, is a colossal waste of money if you're just paying to wear them and not using them for industrial applications. A handful of corporations control a monopoly of the world's precious resource mines and work together to artificially create a sense of prestige and status through jewelry, where they inflate the prices to insane degrees. Story 24. New cars. People will spend $40,000 of their taxable income on depreciation alone every 2 to 4 years, let alone interest and taxes. Most of them say it's because they need something reliable. Most cars will stay reliable for 10 to 15 years, depending on how much you drive. They don't just break down all the time like some people think. Story 25. I'm in Australia, so maybe in some countries this is okay because the tap water is bad. But I see people here walk out of the store with $50 worth of water. I don't get it. If you're that picky about water, just get a filter installed. The cost of bottled water equals petrol. Story 26. Vitamins. Unless you're deficient in something, you're just peeing it all out. A cheap multivitamin seems okay, no harm, no foul. However, a lot of vitamins are being sold individually for around £15 at places like Holland and Barrett, and most consumers don't even need them. Pardon my language, but you're literally wasting your money. Story 27. Expensive shoes. I'm not talking about super expensive bespoke shoes, nor am I talking about expensive semi-customs, such as Thursday boots or others in that realm. I'm talking about mass-manufactured sneakers like Converse or Air Jordans that are expensive, made from cheap materials, and fall apart rather quickly under normal use circumstances. Story 28. Insurance. I think it is mostly a scam, especially now that these big companies are pulling out of places like Florida. But we are mandated to have a few kinds, and it is not even guaranteed to cover anything when we need it most. There should be an umbrella coverage insurance that just covers basic everything, so that way we do not have to pay for 5 different types. And also, car insurance should work a little like health insurance. Need your oil changed and tires rotated? Insurance will cover that. Story 29. I had a guy come into my store a few nights ago. He's a regular who does his usual routine of buying 3 or 4 $20 tickets. He wins $20 and buys 2 more. This cycle repeats a few more times until he wins $100. He gets 5 more and wins $40. At this point, I'm just thinking, man, cut your losses, you're down some $50. He keeps playing, spends $100, and wins $200 and $100 back to back. I'm thinking he's out. He's up at least $200, which is a decent chunk of change to just get. Being addicted, he spends another $300 over 10 minutes, winning only $20 altogether before leaving, and that's probably only because we closed. I sold him probably 25 $20 tickets. Story 30. Streaming services, especially anime and music streaming services. I work in a public library, and I always see all this nostalgia for Blockbuster and the convenience of renting a DVD, while your city probably already has a library for you to check out almost anything for free. We have the newest Planet of the Apes. You don't even have to turn to piracy. Story 31. Fancy water bottles that cost like $5 or more. I mean, it's literally just water, but people are out here paying crazy prices for premium water with a cool label. This is wild. Story 32. Better brands of most foods like chips, pastas, ice creams, or whatever are often produced by the same companies that make the cheaper store brand versions, which are essentially the same product. Our store brand ice cream is made by Hood, although it costs $2 less. Story 33. A car. For a large percentage of Europeans who live in a city, it would be cheaper, more convenient, and often just as fast, if not faster, to use any of the countless other available methods of transport. Story 34. Almost all supplements, and especially nootropics, are questionable. You are paying hundreds of dollars for something your body may not absorb, if the pill even contains what it claims in the first place, which it does not around 15% of the time. Story 35. Poor to lower middle-class people and luxury brands, many of which are now associated with tackiness based on the demographics that buy them. Luxury clothing is a total waste regardless of income, but poor people really seem to like to display some sort of status they clearly don't have by throwing a huge chunk of their income on it. Story 36. Water in movie theaters. Please just sneak a bottle of water in your pocket. They do not care. It costs like $12 for a bottle of water. Are you kidding me?